From Athens to America, the forebears of the practice of democratic rule advocate merit and equality in leadership over monarchy and bloodlines. They believed that for any government to assume legitimacy, it must be given by the people through some form of election delivered as a social contract. Now, social contract, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, refers to an agreement among members of a society or between a society and its rulers about the rights and duties of each. It refers to the idea that individuals consent to surrender some of their freedoms and to submit to governmental authority in exchange for mutual protection, social order, and the preservation of rights. Surrender in real terms is done by your votes, the determinant of who governs the affairs of the state. Now, as we move deeper into the electoral cycle, it is necessary to talk about this because more than just a duty, your vote is your responsibility. I am Omotola Omojola. This is Dateline 360. Thanks for tuning in. Nigeria practices representative democracy, and to ensure that all segments of the society is captured in the governance process, considering a diverse ethnic background, the electoral system gives room for popularity in specific votes required to win elections by percentages to ensure adequate representation. In our first report, National Assembly correspondent Joshua Ogunjude considers Nigeria's democratic history, the law, and the gaps.
Democracy in real terms means a system where citizens either participate directly or elect representatives to govern on their behalf. The principle is simple. Government authority comes from the will of the people. In a country of over 220 million people like Nigeria, direct rule isn't practical. That's where representative democracy comes in. Under representative democracy, citizens can vote for people to speak and make decisions for them in the national and state assemblies. Nigeria has practiced this since 1999 under a presidential system where a president, governors, and legislators are being elected every 4 years. Constitutionally, they are accountable to the citizenry. In practice, progress has been witnessed since the return to civilian rule, but challenges like party godfatherism and weak accountability that limit how well representatives reflect the people's will manifests. At independence in 1960, Nigeria adopted the British parliamentary system. The Prime Minister and Cabinet came from Parliament, and it worked for 6 years. But ethnic tensions and regional rivalries made it unstable, leading to the 1966 coup. After years of military rule, Nigeria switched to a US-styled presidential system in 1979. The idea was to separate powers, strengthen checks and balances, and better manage diversity. That system, with amendment, is what runs today.
We have the bicameral system of legislature, and which gives opportunities for every Nigerian to be represented at the National Assembly. And we also have an executive arm of government that has ministers that represent all the states of the federation.
It is only the representative, the parliament, that signify the fact that we are in a democratic rule.
The legal framework for elections is the Electoral Act 2026, which replaced the 2022 and 2010 Acts respectively and introduced major changes alongside bottlenecks such as INEC's financial autonomy, technology, and timeliness.
For the side of the Commission, we try our best to ensure whatever we have set out as enshrined in the electoral framework, we do. But most times, the only challenge we have is with other stakeholders trying to keep up with the provisions of these laws.
As for universal suffrage, every adult citizen has the right to vote, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or status. In Nigeria, this is guaranteed by Section 77 of the 1999 Constitution, mandating all citizens of age 18 and above to register and vote. INEC 2023 continuous voter registration added 1.6 million new voters, but challenges persist. Many rural polling units remain inaccessible. Women make up 49% of the population but hold only 4% of seats in the National Assembly, while violence, vote buying, and intimidation still undermine free voting in parts of the country. Do Nigerians understand their role? Well, the Constitution gives the citizenry rights to vote, to run for office, to form parties, and to challenge irregularities. INEC is legally bound to educate voters on these rights.
We have a lot of people in the rural areas that don't even know we have electoral act or we have constitution. All they know is that there is a government over them and that's all. So there is a greater need for the government, INEC, National Orientation Agency and all relevant stakeholders, especially also the political parties, to carry out massive voter sensitization, voters engagement, so that people will get to know their rights and that they are the ones that are supposed to determine who leads them.
Awareness is growing, but low turnout in recent elections shows mistrust remains. Many citizens don't know they can demand PVC collection, challenge the voter register, or even initiate a call of non-performing representatives. So where does this leave us? Nigeria has the legal and constitutional framework for representative democracy. The Electoral Act 2026 as amended was a step forward, but laws alone don't make democracy work. It takes active citizens, accountable representatives and institutions that enforce the rules. As we look toward off-cycle polls and the 2027 general elections, the question is not just what the law says, but whether we as citizens will make use of it as our compass. Joshua Oguchide for Dateline 360.
Foremost champion of democracy and former president of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln, describes the ballot as stronger than the bullet. That, in sense, relates to the power of every vote to say yes or no in deciding how they wish to be governed. Yet, available data from INEC shows that since 1999, no election in Nigeria has recorded 60% turnout of voters. Correspondent Mia Ogidi, who has been following election trends in Nigeria, examines factors responsible for this and efforts by the electoral umpire to see an improvement.
A legacy structure stands at the heart of Abuja, the coordinating home of the nation's democracy, the INEC headquarters. The INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amobito, a man, if his promises are still valid, is truly on a journey to deliver credible elections in 2027, but feeling deeply worried. Why? Because the Commission has trust issues with the electorate.
We should begin to address some basic problems that confront our electoral system, one of which is lack of trust. I go everywhere, people say we don't trust you. I say thank you. We have to strive and work extra hard.
Time to market INEC and get the people's trust is what the INEC chairman don't have for now, as the temperature of the 2027 elections reading fast, and all he could do for now is to keep the covenant and not the contradictions.
The Beavers now has the capacity to perform internal validation. So any result manufactured from anywhere will not go this time around.
Continuous voter registration exercise is on. Many coming out to get the gate pass to participate in the polls.
I've had like 3 experiences and they've just not been nice, but as of today, it's been very good.
You know, social media votes do not count. Prayer points do not count. We said we can't just keep talking. We have to take action.
But there are still fears. The issue of trust still haunting, and the safety of the voter on election day creates doubts. Joash, like a man fighting the battles his ancestors have fought and yet to win completely, meeting security agencies and other stakeholders to ensure some of these age-long challenges never resurface in the 2027 elections.
I want to emphasize that individuals involved in ballot snatching, vote buying, voters' intimidation, destruction of electoral materials, violent destruction of polls, or attack on electoral officials will be arrested and prosecuted in accordance with the laws.
A commendable partnership between the police and INEC to ensure a violent-free exercise in 2027. But beyond the beautiful moments, what Nigerians expect is a situation where votes will count and blood not traded for political office on election day. For Dateline 360, Mie Okiti.
It is popular knowledge that there is a direct link between citizens' votes and how the outcome addresses their daily lives, builds trust, and boosts participation. The grassroots, as the base of politicians, serves as the springboard for the achievement of aspirations, hence the need for politicians to consult and engage for direction at this level. From Gombe, Abbas Mekano looks at grassroots participation in the electoral process and how it strengthens democracy.
In representative democracy, the grassroots is where citizenship moves from abstract to practical. It is the political grooming ground for politicians and where citizens learn the tenet of democracy in practice. At this level, it is personal with clarity of purpose of participation.
I am participating in election to exercise my liberty of choosing representatives at all levels of governance.
I come out to vote so that I can put a better person in position to lead and to make life better for the citizen.
No matter how popular you are, how rich you are, how literate you are, if you don't have the buy-in of the masses, nobody is going to vote you because they are the one that you are going to lead. So you have to come down to them, talk to them, and sell your manifesto and aspiration to them so that they can key into it. And if you are okay, if they are okay with you, they will vote for you. If they are not, they will go for the best candidate.
It is people that give strength to the government. So therefore, grassroots participation in politics give validity to any government because sovereignty is from people. And if you want a government that is sovereign and legitimate, you have to get the support and participation of people from the grassroots.
Political leaders evolve at the grassroots because the barrier to entry is lower and their trust, commitment to local development, physical access to the politicians by the locals, and his or her problem-solving skills are often the currency for standing election.
What really keeps the politics attached to the grassroots is mobilization. First of all, people have to be mobilized from whatever region.
Try in as much as possible to display good character and look and show the whole world that youth can do it by voting the right person and doing the right thing at the right place.
The grassroots in daily practice often tests potential political leaders in service from the world level and how they deliver in responsibilities before stepping into platforms of leadership. While the grassroots provide room for direct engagement with citizens and a lot of points of bargains, how their votes gives room for their voices to be heard and how that impacts their daily lives and determine their livelihood sometimes affect participation. Factors that determine alignment can be as simple as who fixes the roads, sometimes with biases that can be nepotic in nature.
We are calling on the people, especially at the grassroots. Poverty, illiteracy, they don't have religion, they don't have tribe, they are dealing with all of us. The more you are fighting with poverty, the more illiteracy is following you because our children are not getting the qualitative education that they deserve. And sometimes it's not about it, it's about the elites.
The popular adage that all politics is local remains valid only if the politicians treat the grassroots as more than a campaign stop. It is the training ground, accountability point, and a true test of whether democracy indeed belongs to the people or to the politicians. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano reporting for Deadline 360.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Come out on Malaria Gone.
Now, grassroots politics, as analysts note, forms the foundation of the entire societal political process and the active participation of citizens in policy making. From Oka, Jane Francis Obi brings us views about how grassroots politics shapes the political landscape of Anambra State.
Political analysts say grassroots structures remain the decisive factor in political recruitment and electoral outcomes in Anambra State as parties prepare for future polls. In Anambra State, political recruitment begins at the ward and local government levels, the influence of town unions and the role of local stakeholders.
We are educated in this country. Majority of people are educated. They are aware that at so time we must vote for people who will lead us.
According to political observers, the pathway to securing a party ticket follows the standard steps of mobilization, interest declaration, consultations with stakeholders, primaries, and candidate selection. However, in Anambra, it is often the traditional rulers, town unions, age grades, and market associations that determine who gains the backing of delegates before primaries are held.
Most important aspect of politics, which involves giving leverage to the local people to take active part in decision making.
When you don't reach your people very well, when you don't sensitize them very well, it has some negative impacts on your victory.
But the problem we have is the problem of mistrust by the grassroots on the political class because of what is happening in the country. There is no trust on the political class from the electorate.
Many of us are still moved by bias in terms of religious bias and other things.
The most important thing is youth, because all those traditional rulers, they carry everything as if without youth they cannot succeed.
For aspirants, experts say financial capacity alone cannot guarantee victory without grassroots acceptance.
Analysts
further advise that political leaders must maintain constant engagement with their communities, support local projects, and involve traditional institutions in governance to build trust and ensure accountability.
For us to change the whole scenario, we need political education to those grassroots, because ordinarily powers ought to rest on the grassroots where the people are.
They feel that there is no proper representation. You know, when there is representation, everybody is being carried along. So as far as politics of grassroots is concerned, the people, the villagers, every sector of the society is involved.
Consensus among observers is that in Anambra politics, acceptance at the Brave Square remains more powerful than any party ticket. For DATELINE36, Jane Francis Obi.
Apart from voting, participation in the electoral process begins with formation of political parties, and this has been the foundation of Nigeria's democratic journey. Political correspondent Timothy Yusuf in our next piece examines the operational challenges of political parties in Nigeria and how they're being addressed.
Political parties and participation in the electoral process have again come to the fore as the 2027 general election builds up. Political parties are the vehicle upon which every election moves, therefore necessary in the electioneering process. Shitu Muhammad Kabir has actively championed the formation of 4 political parties in Nigeria's democratic journey.
We started in 1994 with Conscience Party. I'm one of the founders of Conscience Party with late Chief Gani Fawemi. May so rest in perfect peace. He called us to his chamber in Lagos, and I became the coordinator of Abuja. And Gani Fawemi told us now that the military has closed democratic space, if we keep quiet, that democracy will not come.
political party formation, how has this been in Nigeria? How much consultation is done? And who determines it?
Under the Electoral Act 2026 and INEC guidelines, any association with national spread can apply to register a party. They need a name, logo, constitution, manifesto, office in Abuja, minimum membership in 24 states plus FCT, audited accounts and register of members.
Before now, political parties were funded. It was a public property. It was funded by the government, okay, and then driven by the people. You understand, people determine who they want to govern them. Political party structure was stronger. Political party will determine, they will lay their manifesto to their product, which is the elected officials. You have to work within the confines of the provisions of constitutional manifesto of the parties, and parties could discipline their erring members. Today, it is difficult.
Another critical point raised is whether or not political parties and politicians weaponize poverty, and does this affect enthusiasm for participation?
It is where we are coming from. We are coming from a background of predominantly ignorant people, predominantly, poor people. So these two, factors limitate against people exercising their rights.
It's citizens that I'll blame, because you are sending me to go and serve you, and you are telling me that until I pay you, you can't vote me. I have to borrow that money or find a way or sell something. And then as soon as you get to office, that's before you start service, you want to recoup the money you spend.
Godfatherism and its effect is another challenging factor bedeviling the nation's democratic process.
Let us work by the rules. Let us not be violent. Let us be peaceful. Let us not allow ourselves to be used.
In all, citizens are interested in the nation's electoral process, but they believe that the system is structured to favor elite control and money. Participation rises when people believe their vote matters. Timothy Yusuf for DATELINE36.
Democracy is world's most accepted system of government, and at the core of it is citizens' active participation in civic and political matters. It can therefore be also argued that citizens' involvement in their governance and decision-making at all levels is necessary to sustain democracy. With an estimated population of 200 million people, having about 56% fall within the voting population, it is expected that democracy will advance progressively in Nigeria. This was the approval that followed the transition from military rule to democratic governance in 1999. It was a hard-fought democracy delivered by the resilience and commitment of the people. The excitement was tangible expectations, high for a government where the voice of the people is loud and their power exhibited through their votes.
The first thing that we should do as a people is to make sure that as candidates and aspirants, that our electioneering campaign will be based on the issues that are affecting Nigerians, not a personal attacks of one another.
As democracy progressed, however, it will appear that passion waned on the side of the populace, some perhaps unaware of the power they wield in this new form of governance, and another set working hard to make it work but overwhelmed by the teething challenges. Yet, accountability demands active citizens' engagement to deliver good governance.
In 2019, for instance, INEC declared 82.3 million registered voters and only 28.6 million voted in that electoral cycle.
We as persons or people, there's need to wake up to this call. They will actually need a change in our country, Nigeria.
The major factors that affect our democracy or our leaders, because lack of reaching out will make the democracy somehow.
Considering continuous voter registration and new entrants into the suffrage, a mere 35% of registered voters exercised their franchise in 2023 elections, and active citizens' participation in the electoral process is essential for democratic sustenance.
As long as you have what it takes, come out and run.
Addressing voter apathy demands bold, systematic change, strengthening institutions to deliver and inspire trust among the populace. Political parties must also undergo internal overhaul and become indeed platform for aggregating development ideas where integrity serves in place of money. Citizens also must remind themselves that their votes are not just a civic duty, but a tool for ensuring accountability and progress. Hawagimba for Dateline 360.
As we conclude this edition of Dateline 360, I remind you that it may be your choice to do or not. But keep in mind that it is a civic responsibility to participate in the electoral process and do it right. I am Omotola Omojola. I thank you for your company. God bless Nigeria.